hard to imagine that playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs could ever become routine, but you wonder if maybe it did for Larry Robinson. He played 227 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs, more than any other player in NHL history. Number 5 on that list, with 192 games, Kevin Lowe. That is none too shabby. We had a chance to sit down and get to know Kevin a little bit better. Kevin, what was the difference between winning the Stanley Cup with the Edmonton Oilers the first time you got to experience it all and the subsequent times leading up to the one you won last year at the Rangers?
Yeah, well, the first obviously is the most exciting, and the others are as equally as exciting, but not like the first, not the type of feeling of accomplishment that you get from the first time around. But in my case, the sixth one, being the one in New York, was pretty special. 2, 3, 4, and 5 were all nice, but 6 was as close to number 1 as could be.
As much as you can, take people inside the dressing room of that really special team, the Edmonton Oilers. A lot of people say that those teams that you were winning the Cups with were the last true dynasty in the NHL. I mean, what was it like inside the dressing room?
Well, I mean, those were such special times. I think what made the Oilers team unique, besides the multi-talent that it had, was the closeness, the relationships that were developed, the friendships. I suppose at times well documented, Messier and Gretzky's relationship, and mine and Wayne's and Mark Messier's. But there, all the other guys, I mean, I wouldn't even want to begin the list of names, but, as Mark Messier said last year in New York, if you win a Stanley Cup, that group of guys, you'll sort of walk hand in hand for life.
You have an amazing ability to be able to play through pain. You have a very high pain threshold. Now, why is it that you think you're able to go out and play through pain, and some players aren't able to go out and do the same thing?
It's your own little battle. I remember one year playing in the playoffs with a couple cracked ribs and a broken wrist, and although I had my wrist casted, it was like, hey, isn't this great? I can look back on it 20, 30 years from now and tell my kids, the first time the kids complain about falling down on the ice or something, I say, well, your old man played in the Stanley Cup with broken ribs. But it's a personal sense of accomplishment, I suppose. Pretty rewarding to win the Stanley Cup in New York. Two things happened. It's one that we'll be able to reflect upon the championship in New York and say it took 54 years to finally bring the cup to Manhattan or to New York City, and so we're a big part of it. The other thing is, it was so exciting, the parade on Broadway, the city, the way the people responded. I mean, I just knew it was going to be incredible, and they far surpassed my expectations in terms of how the city accepted and appreciated the Stanley Cup. So it made me want to do it again.
At what stage did you start dreaming of playing in the National Hockey League? Was it from the time you were a kid, you started to dream about an NHL career?
I think it goes back to the days when as a family, the Stanley Cup playoffs it was a family time. We always got together when the game was on. In fact, neighbors would come by, and my mom would make a special little dinner and stuff, and everyone would watch the Stanley Cup together. And in between periods, all the kids would run out, and we would become the players who were playing in the Stanley Cup. We would play like a short little game. I think intermission was 15 minutes. We'd go out and have a quick game to 5 and then come running in to catch the second period. And it was like, in those days, it was always Montreal and Boston, or Montreal and whomever. And, that, to me, I think that's where my excitement for the Stanley Cup first developed, was as a kid.
Talk to me a little bit about the role that family has played in your life and in your career, both as your family as a boy, your parents, your brothers that you grew up with, brothers and sisters if you have sisters, and also the role that your present family plays in your life and in your career.
Well, family's vital. In my case, My dad died when I was quite young, and my brother and my entire family, but particularly my brother, who was quite a bit older than I was, or I am, sort of took me under his wing and saw to it that I had, you know, hockey sticks and hockey tape, and really counseled me on my game. And I had some cousins that played a big part too in it, older cousins who had played the game, and I came from a hockey playing family, and I was the last of the males to come to play hockey. So I was sort of like the last link to the NHL. So I think they really all were genuinely excited and behind me in terms of, you know, getting me to the National Hockey League. And my extended family now, my wife, who was an athlete, and I saw her retire a few years ago, and she's, I went through that with her, and now that I'm at the end of my career, or getting towards the end of my career, she's very supportive in keeping me going. She knows how important it is to me, and she makes sure that I'm healthy and gets me out of the bed in the morning and sort of pats me on the rear end and says, "Go get him, Tagger." And so she's, her and the kids are very supportive in that respect.
Well, I think for me, having been an athlete and been through what Kevin goes through every day still, I can understand. I guess there's more of an understanding coming from me. I kind of know that he has to be at the rink and spend, you know, a lot of time there, and I know what it takes to be at the top of, you know, your game, or at the top of where you want to be as an athlete, and I know what the dedication is, and I know that if when I was skiing, for instance, I don't think I could have had a family and been a really good athlete like hockey players can. It's a real, you know, I give them a lot of credit to be able to go to the rink and, you know, dedicate themselves to the game of hockey and then come back and be great fathers. It's hard. Yeah. Who did that?
Win or lose, you know, you always hear the same from everybody who has kids, but it's really true. I mean, you're a little down on yourself, or down on the game, or down on whoever, and, you know, they're smiling and having a good time, and it's not really that important. So, Dev, what kind of birthday cake did you have? Stanley Cup birthday cake. What color was it?
I thought I'd do it for the kids. Every birthday I make them a cake. They can look through books and pick whatever, and she said, "No, Mommy, I don't want an animal. I want a Stanley Cup, a pink Stanley Cup cake." So that's what we had. Third birthday.
Quite an old mug, the Stanley Cup. It's been around since 1893. At one time, it was actually a challenge trophy. Amateur teams could compete for the Stanley Cup. It became the symbol of professional hockey supremacy in 1910.